Welcome back to the Caribou Data Science Channel. It's Sunday evening, January 17th. I'm just looking at some data. I was prompted by a report actually on gab.com. Someone correctly pointed out that in a lot of cases, the sole cause of death wasn't COVID-19. Okay, we can see that but I think that you can safely say that the majority of those cases, COVID-19 contributed to the person's death. And it seems to me, if we can say with certainty that, yes, the person had pneumonia, but yes, they died, but they didn't die of pneumonia. They died of complications of COVID-19 and pneumonia. So if we can say with certainty that COVID-19 contributed to a person's death, not the sole cause, but contributed, then we have to count that as a COVID-19 death. And you can see that's exactly what the CDC is doing here. COVID-19 total deaths, pneumonia deaths, COVID-19 pneumonia clinic deaths, influenza deaths, pneumonia, influenza, and COVID-19 deaths. Well, you would think this would have to match the number over there for some odd reason, wouldn't you? Should match the total deaths. Is there someone else over here we're missing? Interesting. Well, this is 503,000, yet the total deaths over here is only, the total deaths over here. No, but if this adds up all three of these columns here, this is kind of strange, isn't it? Okay. Anyway, we'll come back over here, copy this, create a new sheet. We don't need, okay. We also only want, let's also say just the United States, because we're only interested in, okay, so what we can do here then, let's just do that. Let's just only take the total column, okay? So we can come back down here. All right. Okay. So we don't need these anymore. So here's the question. What percentage do, this doesn't make any sense. So let's do this. Now there's always a chance that we could be, okay. So here's the question. What percentage of the total deaths, just go ahead and put a comma in there for or at it, Get rid of the zeros. Okay. So this saying total deaths of 3.2 million. So I suppose that's a total of COVID-19, pneumonia, and influenza, right? Let's find out. Well, let's just do a calculation, shall we? So, how many total deaths? Let's go to these because we're only interested in individual columns. Total COVID-19, pneumonia deaths, influenza deaths. B2, C2. So, these three things only accounted for 657,000 deaths. Okay? So what is total deaths? Well, we certainly didn't have, okay, 3.2 million deaths. So this may very well be, the question for us is this. Of the total of these three here, what percent I didn't spell it right, but that's okay. Flu. Okay, so here's the question. Of this total here, how much did the COVID-19 deaths contribute to it? Okay? Let's try this again. COVID-19 equals equal equals. Don't understand why this is there. Okay. If we look at what happens if we now we just do a plot of this, just do a plot of these things right here. Okay. So so now we can see that at least three main causes of deaths. Okay. Well, 50%. And pneumonia accounted for another 50%. All right. If we look at them by numbers, if we look at numbers here, you can see that total deaths is up here, but you know, COVID-19 and pneumonia deaths. So is that a coincidence? Okay. Is that a coincidence that COVID-19 deaths and pneumonia deaths are almost equal? Okay. Again, total deaths is a total of these three numbers here. Influenza deaths, interesting enough, didn't account for a whole lot, did they? All right, so there we see it. I think this is fairly telling. To me, this says that, in all probability, most of these people here who had, you know, got pneumonia as a complication of COVID-19 died. It wasn't just COVID-19 that killed them, and it wasn't just pneumonia that killed them. It was the complication that resulted from it, all right? So the question is this. See, I don't think these numbers are a coincidence, okay? I think what this tells us is the single biggest contributing factor to someone dying from COVID-19 is pneumonia. But we know that COVID-19 is a respiratory disease, okay? As a result of COVID-19, they got pneumonia is food on the lungs. Well, if COVID-19 affects your respiratory system, then of course you're going to get pneumonia with the fluid in your lungs. All right. So anyway, but if we said, well, what about the total number of deaths? Okay. What about the total number of deaths? So I still think at that point, so what do you all think? Do you think it's safe to say that pneumonia was a very large contributing factor to COVID-19 deaths? Thanks so much for your time this evening. We'll catch you on a later report.